Well, folks, we're getting right down to the wire. We're less than a month away from Election Day now, and Donald Trump is just continuing to spiral out of control. He is completely unhinged and off the rails and out there spreading as much misinformation as he possibly can because at this point in the game, folks, that's really the only shot he's got is to just create as much chaos and muddy the water as much as possible. He went from saying they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats in Springfield, Ohio, to now saying that FEMA is giving more money to people crossing the border than they are to people who are suffering from the damage from the hurricanes. People don't even stop to think. They don't even stop to try to fact check anything that any of these MAGA politicians are out there spreading. They just roll with it. And I'll never understand for the life of me how someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene can go out and say something like this, and her followers will just sit there and nod along and never stop and go, wait a minute, shouldn't we look into this? I mean, I would, but let's take a look at this clip and see what you guys think.
Those are the numbers. I serve on the Homeland Security Committee. Nearly $1 billion for illegal aliens. $1 billion. But they're going to give people in Western North Carolina, American citizens, $750. I'm telling you, you should be out there talking to every person you know. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing everything I can to talk to people and go, look, I work in Washington, D.C. I hear Democrats literally talk in person. I serve with them on committees. This is the current state of affairs in America. And that's what it boils down to.
And her followers will just sit there and nod along. They'll believe it because she said it and because she talked about how she works in Washington alongside Democrats and she knows how evil they are. And because these people have been raised to believe that Democrats are the most evil force on the planet, they'll never question it. But I could never be in a group like that. I could never be amongst people like that because I would question what the leader was saying or what the speaker was saying. And back during the DNC, I questioned Bill Clinton when he got up and claimed that since the end of the Cold War, he said there have been, I think it was 51 million jobs that have been created. He said only 1 million was done by Republican presidents. And Bill Clinton is my favorite president of my lifetime, but I went, I don't know about that. That seems a little far-fetched. So I went and looked into it. It turns out he was telling the truth. But I would never sit there and listen to someone make a big, bold claim like Marge just did, and Vance is out there pushing it, Trump. They're all pushing this bullshit, and their followers just continue to eat it up, double down, and believe it to be true. And they, folks, are focused. They're focused on that. They're focused on the lies and the misinformation. That's why it's extremely important that we stay focused on the truth, and we realize the stakes, and we realize what's at hand in this upcoming election. Our democracy has never been threatened like it is right now. I've never felt that it was so fragile. Like everything around it right now, the foundation around it feels so fragile. We have to work to protect it, and we have to start working to restore it and restoring people's faith in it. And I think we do so by focusing on the stories that's truly hurting people, and we have to keep the focus on the women. And the women have to continue to stand up. And like Kamala said, don't aspire to be humble right now. Now's not the time to do that. Now's the time to stay focused on stories like this that I'm going to bring up to you guys right here from the Midas Touch Network. Georgia Supreme Court reinstates abortion ban. This is from Aaron Parnas at the Midas Touch Network. And folks, this is just a preview of what a second Trump term would be. This is a preview of the extremism that we would see. And this decision comes just 6 days after the 6-week ban was initially struck down. This afternoon, the Georgia Supreme Court reinstated the state's 6-week abortion ban, which is one of the most extreme bans in the country. 1 week ago, a lower court struck down the abortion. Still trying to go over my crud. 1 week ago, a lower court struck down the abortion ban and deemed that it was unconstitutional as a matter of law. Today, the Supreme Court, with one justice dissenting, determined that the lower court decision should be stayed pending the state's full appeal of the lower court decision. One provision, however, will remain blocked during the appeal. The abortion ban also previously allowed district attorneys to provide access to health records where an abortion is performed and where the person who received an abortion lives. The case will now move forward through the appellate process, but the abortion ban will remain in place during that time. And you can read the full decision right here at the Midas News .com. But folks, that right there is definitely a preview of what a second Trump presidency would look like. And that's why we have got to stay focused now more than ever. We have to remember when we go to the polls, we have to remember that our daughter's future is truly on the line. Donald Trump already stacked the Supreme Court in their favor. The next president has the chance to appoint new Supreme Court justices. If we had an entire MAGA Supreme Court, then we would never see these decisions reversed probably again in our lifetime. That's how important this is, folks. When you look ahead and realize that your daughter's future is on the line, you have to understand that it's about getting in there and protecting and preserving our democracy and keeping it out of the hands of these people. Because if we have a Supreme Court that's in MAGA's pocket, then we're never going to get it back. We have a real shot to get it back with Kamala. She has said that she would restore Roe versus Wade. And she would have the ability to appoint new Supreme Court justices. Those are going to be very important moments in our history coming forward. And those moments would be completely vanish if Trump were to be reelected. That's why when we go to the poll, we have to think about the mothers like Amber Thurman. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. I'm just being realistic. We have to think about the mothers like Amber Thurman, 28 years old, lost her life because she couldn't get the care that she needed. We have to think about people like Kate Cox in Texas who had to flee Texas to get help. And it's happening all across this country. We have to think about all the women since Roe versus Wade was overturned. We have to think about all the women who have been impregnated by rape. Over 64,000 just since Roe versus Wade was overturned. And most of those occurred in places where there was no exception for rape. So MAGA can go out here and they can try to burn the candle at both ends on this one, and they can try to act as though they're just kicking it back to the states. But I will say this from now on, the states should not decide this. That's not a cop-out. That's not a way out for MAGA. The women should decide this. It's their body. It's their choice. It's their right. The rest of us should stay out of it. And our personal feelings about abortion, I always try to point this out, our personal feelings about the issue is absolutely irrelevant. It's the women. They have that right. We should never be the ones dictating that. We should never be the ones standing in the way of them making their medical decisions. Do I like the thought of abortion? No. And I don't really know anyone, male or female, that does. I don't know anyone that just loves the idea of it. It is a terrible thing. But that's not what's really on the ballot. It's the woman's right to have control over her medical decisions without having any government, be it federal or state, have their hands in it. And these are the stories that we got to stay focused on, because as long as you're sitting there like those people listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene, then you're just going to be sitting there listening to a bunch of misinformation that is going to get you worked up, get you ready to, just throw a fit and throw it with a bunch of, fake outrage at somebody. And I'm so tired of MAGA and all of their fake outrage. I truly am. It's truly disgusting that they just keep digging in and muddying the water this much. And folks, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything to do so. We made it over 300,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 500,000. I know we can get there, and I truly appreciate your guys' support. But we do, folks. We just have to stay focused right now more than ever on the issues at hand, because as long as Donald Trump's around, all he's going to be doing is trying to distort the argument and muddy the water, because at the end of the day, that's all the guy's got.